who I am today, but having that experience really taught me how much time could be taken away from you. And that dramatically altered my life. It really allowed me to think and contemplate, and I had to rebuild. And at the time of this recording right now, I'm facing another part of this life experience, and I have to rebuild. Welcome to Creator Tip. I'm your host, Mar, and I'm a content creator, videographer, SaaS founder, and a student of life. I create content for personal brands, and I've helped businesses scale to multiple figures with content. But it's not always just about the money. I want to talk about the journey. Cultivating my curiosity has led me to discover a world of possibilities, and I'm here to discuss ideas, people, stories, and life lessons. I want to cultivate your curiosity to view things from all perspectives. I want us to get real, and I want you to walk away with tips to have more energy to pursue your endeavors. Welcome to the first episode. Damn it, the lens does not look like it's straight on me. About a week ago, I sat in this exact same chair. It was roughly around 7 p.m. I, wrote a script, and, 2 hours later, I decided to say the script. I recorded it on a camera, and I just was not happy with it. And prior to that, I've been researching a whole bunch of ways on how to launch a podcast. In the research, there are some great pieces out there, or great inspiration. Pat Flynn's OG. I went all the way back to his first podcast, and he changed it. He has 2 podcast channels, but I'm sharing this with you because that's the level of research that I like to do. Though I'm building quickly and efficiently, and what that basically means is because I have I have my own business. I have to do certain things to build a business, but at the same time adapt to what's occurring, and something that's occurring is podcasting. And I'm sharing all this information with you so that you could kind of understand or relate to if you're going through that same position. The most recent thing in how I speak, I tend to go in tangents, but I circle back. So I recently listened to a podcast, some of my favorite creators, actually, Colin and Samir, and they're interviewing Tim Ferriss, and they talk about credibility. And it really hit home because I initially wanted to launch this brand, and launch the newsletter, and launch the podcast, and launch the website in order to create another set of audience on top of share more of my expertise, share more things that I'm trying to do, and funnel people and creators into a certain community, certain brand, and build this brand experience. But I messed up. I said I was going to do it at June 11th on my Simplecast, which is a platform that I'm using to upload this audio and then to turn it into, I believe, what it's an RSS feed that I could plug into podcasts, into Spotify, and all those other channels. The reason I'm sharing that with you is because I've messed up multiple times, and that's what this channel is about. Is, so many things out there, or actually, I pay attention to a lot of things that are already nice, already well built. It's in a well-oiled machine. It looks good, the brand experience, and they've paid their dues. They've gotten to a certain point, to a certain level that is, they look like they've never messed up. And I want to do the flip side, and I think a way of doing that is always share some new experience that I'm encountering, or someone that's teaching me something. But basically talk to individuals that are going through something in their business, or they have gone through something in their life, and that could bring value to whoever's listening. So I keep saying so a lot. I don't mean to. It's actually very bad to say so, because it just basically, I forgot what it means, but it just means I'm not prepared. And it's it's like a comfort feeling. I don't know why I'm sharing that with you, but I think if you get tired of hearing that word, you're like, he's just a little stuck right there. But so I recorded last night, actually, I recorded another segment. I plugged it in. The lighting looked good. I was super happy, and I plug in this thing called Comica AD3 that is connected to my microphone that runs to my camera. And originally I was trying to connect my microphone to my computer, and that frustration occurred where, why is my microphone not connecting to my computer? I need to stream, I need to record myself and have clean audio, and I wanted it straight into the computer so that I could do a auto adjustment, right? Like that's what I wanted to do. I just wanted to correct it and fix it in post. And for some reason, my Audition in Adobe Premiere is not picking up. I've tried GarageBand the first time when I recorded this, but with the Shure application that's on my computer and the GarageBand both together, when I say certain words, this microphone like made this weird sound. It's like, it was just awkward. So that's another huge reason why I decided to redo this podcast. And I just mentioned that I filmed it again last night. So this is going to be my third attempt. And the reason last night didn't work and wasn't successful was because I plugged my Comica AD3 into the wrong hole on my camera. And that's such a rookie mistake. What had happened, I was so excited and I needed to take action and I didn't want to waste any time. So I got off the couch and I was like, right now, someone that I'm dating just left, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to take advantage of this time before they return, and I'm going to work on this thing, and I'm going to focus. And I did. I plugged everything in, and the one thing, this is what happens to a lot of us, is we get so confident thinking that we need to not check things, but I should have checked. I should have checked my sound, which I do for others, but I didn't do it for myself, which is terrible. So check your sound, plug all your things in. I'm really actually excited because I bought this roll-in cord from Guitar Center, and it has lifetime guarantee. And the reason I bought two of these is because I have 3 microphones, and I'm excited to do a show coming up where I'm speaking to 2 guests, and I want to film with 4 cameras, and I'm oversharing. But once again, coming back to the idea that this is my third time doing this, and that's what it takes. That's what, once again, what this is about. You're seeing someone going through these iterations and these things that can occur, and hopefully you could learn, because I know I wanted to go to an area where they share with you all the potential small things. Online, I get bombarded by people that give you the basics, or I shouldn't say, I interpret it as the basics. They'll say build a brand, right? So you go ahead and build a brand, but in building a brand, you may consider your typefaces, right? That could be one thing, and then your colors, and then you have to have perfect photos and all that type of stuff. But then there's other things where, like, your Photoshop might crash, or you need to alter your photo and you need to learn how to do this thing in the photo process. Or you could send it to somebody, of course, and then you send it to somebody, but you give them a certain direction and they return, you get it back, and it's not what you originally intended. So there, and that is part of the creative process. That's part of being a creator. And I'm glad you're here. And one of the first things that I wanted to talk about was what I had to do to get to where I'm at, but also share with you share with you my current, where currently I'm at. I think that's cool for myself. It's cool for the viewer or listener that's going through something themselves and could relate, and hopefully the way that I think could help you, can spark an idea. One thing that I had to do in building a podcast, aside from having certain tools, is I had to go research how to kind of launch it, and something about how I am not, I know I'm not, well, I don't know if I have ADD. I've never been diagnosed or anything like that, but my attention span to certain things, like when I listen to audiobooks, they give me a direction and I stop, because if I know if I don't take action on that direction, I'm not going to go I'm going to get stuck. So in doing this research for launching a podcast, one of the things that I came across on Audible was this 2-book series where it shares you how to build an audience and how to start your podcast. And I needed to hear them. I got to a point where they shared on how to create an intro. You're selecting an audio, a beat that is very recognizable, that could potentially be a jingle. You want to have specific, you want to say specific things. And here's where I want to share that I wrote down on a document some of these specific things that they suggested. You have to, in your intro piece, when you're making a podcast, you got to talk about who you are, what this podcast is about, what are you, the viewer, listener, going to gain from it, and why it's worth listening to. So it took me some time. I wrote this on my Google Docs, and then I wrote this on my application that I have. I kind of had that as a foundation, and I was just where was I? I think I was on a walk. I was walking, and my first thing was, okay, get my notes out and write this. And I wrote it down, and then a couple hours later, I come back and I look at it, and I'm like, okay, cool. Let me clean this up a little bit. And I fast forward, I got to a certain point. I created a paragraph, and that's where I'm going to start. This paragraph here is going to be my first rough draft, and it may change throughout the podcast, because I think I could do that. I think I've listened to a lot of things, and it's, like I said, it's very perfect. It's well dialed in, and I love the messy. I love seeing the messy. It kind of reminds me of the things that I do right now. I film high performing brands and people that own this business, and I document their lives. They give me the opportunity, they give me access to their world, and I help them create content based off what they're doing in their industry, but I make it in a very authentic way that almost feels like you're watching a documentary, or you're getting an inside view of their life, right? So this podcast is an audio version of that. Maybe that's what I'm trying to do. So so is like almost also like a word that I could just break away to the next thing. But to go back, I want to read my paragraph. And from this paragraph, I want to read the script that I actually created. I made an entire script for this. I've seen many versions I've listened to, and I've seen many versions of certain podcasts, and they have a great intro talking about their guest. They have a great intro talking about the podcast and what you're going to gain from it. And that's awesome. And right now, I'm just going to give you a glimpse of this paragraph that I created, and then I'm going to go into the script that I made. I found that having some sort of running script helps me out, because as you've noticed, I go in tangents. I go all over the place, and I try to circle back, but maybe you're like, what the hell? Where's he going? Or you tuned out because I'm all over the place, or I'm speaking too fast. And I want you to pay attention to that, because me as a creator on who I am now, in developing a brand and becoming an influential individual in creating this personal brand, there are so many great elements that you get to learn. So many great things: scripting, presenting yourself on camera, creating content for yourself, for others, your voice, the way your tonality of your voice is on podcasts, on a camera, all these small little details that help you stand out in the industry or in the market. Okay, you ready to hear this paragraph? I might stop a couple of times, because I want to make sure I say it a certain way, a certain tone. So without further ado, welcome to Creator Tip. I'm your host, Mar, and I'm a content creator, videographer, SaaS founder, and a student of life. I create content for personal brands, and I've helped businesses scale to the I create content for personal brands, and I've helped businesses scale to multiple figures with content. But it's not always just about the money. I want to talk about the journey. Cultivating my curiosity has led me to discover a world of possibilities. And I'm here to discuss ideas, people, stories, and life lessons. I want to cultivate your curiosity to view things from all perspectives. I want us to get real, and I want you to walk away with tips to have more energy to pursue your endeavors. So if you like that, if you think I should alter it, change it, please let me know. I am not sure. I've only scratched the surface on how to leave reviews and other things like that. But just if you think hearing me and seeing this and doing it helps at all, leave me a review, maybe even correct it in the review, screenshot it, send it to me. I'm not sure, but I would love that. But now I want to get into the actual episode. And this episode is my first episode kind of sharing with you a little bit about my origin story and sharing with you how I think and my passions and what to look for or look forward to. Here we go. To get straight to the point, this is Creator Tip. I'm a creator, duh. But before the name content creator was popularized, I was more of an artist. I love being an artist because how I view artists are these influential people that will live long as humans carry their name. Some of the names that come to my mind are some of the greats like Picasso, Diego Rivera, Monet, or Manet, or both, Caravaggio, Salvador Dali, Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, so on and so on and so on. And of course, these were painters, but I like them because of what they did, what they express, what they felt, how they expressed the world of possibilities through their paintings, how they expressed the history during that time they were in, how they told stories visually. They made something from nothing. How fucking cool is that? I was so fascinated by these artists because how they had this story to them. They had this dark story. They had this rise to riches story. They had this business story. And some of these great artists didn't even have a story until they actually died. They weren't discovered till way later after they passed away. And that's still very fascinating to me. Something that I love about them as well was their body of work. Looking at their entire body of work. Their entire lives were dedicating themselves to making these things. They were absorbed into their craft and being fully committed to their purpose. What does this sound like? Does it sound like you? And I know you're probably saying, look, Mar, I'm not a painter. And I understand. And this is where the actual word creator comes in, because I feel a creator still embodies certain aspects of an artist. Creators have dedicated themselves to their life calling. And creators, there's all sorts of creators out there. They're business owners, they're artists, they're writers, singers, filmmakers, scientists, engineers, athletes, doctors, sons, daughters, mothers, fathers, and the list goes on. They create something from nothing. I want to know, are you making something from nothing? I'm doing that at this very moment. My name is Mar. I'm a videographer, but deep down, I know I'm more than that. I've never really admitted this, but I see myself as an influential person in this creative space. I want to be known as a creative director. I want to be like the Kanye and dive into various things, but I want to live to my fullest potential. But, and yes, there's a big, big but. We're not all Kanye. We are not all capable of getting to that level, and I've accepted that, and that's okay. I'm going to bring this down a notch. Maybe you yourself feel like this. Maybe you're going to be the next Kanye, and I really hope you are. But if you're also just, hey, I just want to make it. I just want to be successful. I just want to change my current surroundings. I just want to sustain myself doing what I love. I also get that. I completely understand. And that's why I just want to be an example and share with you what I've learned as a creator and bring on certain individuals onto this show that can help you elevate yourself. On this show, I'll be talking to many different people, all sorts of industries, and the goal is to share with you tips and anything that can help your business, your life, your mind, and help your soul. Once again, my name is Mar. As a kid, I was very fascinated with cartoons. I remembered my mom being scared and I would draw monsters on paper. I have no idea why I would draw monsters on paper. I think it was just basically because the shapes that I made were easy, circles, triangles, and I would put them together and it looked like a monster. The teeth were triangles, and I remember learning those shapes and I thought that was like, okay, that's easy to do. I can make that. My mom, she worked her ass off. She kept me alive. She ran away from home at a young age and has been working her entire life. She was able to get to America because she needed to run away from people that were actually after her. And I will share that with you hopefully on a different time. And I have I don't want to say traditional, but your minority story where someone in the family leaves their area, comes to America to better their life. I'm the first generation here and I'm here to change my family's life. I'm here to do the best that I can with what I have, with the knowledge that I have, with the connections that I make, with the experiences that I get myself into, and do the best that I can. I personally don't know my father, and I'm sharing this with you so that you could just kind of get a perspective of who I am and why I'm so obsessed in the passion that I have, and also why I'm so obsessed in creating this foundation for my life. I feel like, I don't know who you are and who's listening to or who's watching this, but I think it's important for you to, as you're building this brand, to kind of understand how this person became who he became, or how she became what she became, because their backstory really influences what you're seeing right now. So I share that I didn't have a father because, mother and father in a household really help you have that foundation of family in your life. And I didn't have that. I had a hardworking mom. I remember, working my mom would work hours at a massage place, and I would be underneath a table in their little break room, and she'd give me toys to play, and I'd be quiet and I'd eat during her time eating, and that was it. I also remember living in a home with her with a whole bunch of people laying in like body to body, because the friend that she ended up living there with helped people with this similar background that she was going through, or similar what's that called, experience that she was undergoing or going through. And if you're listening to this and you're like, hey, look, that's not me. I actually didn't have that, and that sucks for you. I'm sorry you've gone through that, but I personally have never experienced that. That's cool with me too. Like, I'm glad that you didn't go through that. I'm super glad. And there's going to be other things that I have experienced that potentially will help you. But I do really feel that a lot of people have had this weird upbringing. The world is beautiful, but the world is also dark. I've had many conversations with people that have dark upbringings and have beautiful upbringings, and both of them I respect. And this show isn't always going to be beautiful. It's sometimes going to be dark, but I think what this show will have is you're going to walk away with certain skills or at least things to think about that can help you go, man, I can really do this. Instead of, man, how the heck do I do this? How the heck am I going to go from where I'm at to the next thing? Speaking of the how the heck am I going to go from where I'm at to the next thing, that's actually where I'm at right now. I personally am experiencing something, but I I actually obsess myself into trying to get better. And I love that because that allows me to know that there is a possibility I can get myself out of this hole. I can do something that I actually love and make it and become and I could completely change the trajectory of my life and create something. And I think that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to create, and we need structure. We need to have this foundation. The goal through this is to actually simplify the structure, because I know when I started getting into things, it's so easy to go from this thing to this thing to this thing to this thing. And then all of a sudden you're like, dang, I haven't started anything because there's no simplified steps. You could talk to one influential personal brand coach that could teach you one way, and then you're on Instagram, and then you get this advertising piece that tells you, hey, here's a way to do this thing, and you start thinking, oh yeah, I need that thing too. So then you go down that rabbit hole. Then you got these two different newsletters coming at you, and you want to do both of them, but you're kind of caught in the middle of like, damn. And then time goes by and you never take action. So I share that because that's normal. I've gone through that. I still go through that. And I'm doing better at refining it. I'm doing better at understanding where my focus is. And I do a lot of certain things, like write things down multiple times. I plan out my days so that I could only focus on these specific tasks. I'm not afraid to move tasks over. I've learned to control the anxiety by doing certain walks and doing certain exercises and things like that. And I'm hoping something sparks an idea for you and you're like, oh, I'm going to try that. But then follow the next steps if you're going to go down that route. And you know this is important because you want to have a simplified process. It's very needed. You get so wrapped up in all the, as I've mentioned, the things that you're trying to create the business, you're going to market the business, you need to figure out how to find your customers, who that customer is, how to treat that customer. You have to brand yourself. You have to have this branding experience. You have to systematize everything. You have to have a great workflow. You have to think about the legal department. You want to create content. You want to create tutorials. You want to be good on social media. There's all the things. And then by the end of it, you're looking at the list and you're going, fuck, how the hell, what the heck, where do I begin? I want to share with you this story of the reason why it's kind of cool to have all those overwhelming thoughts sometimes, because at one place in my life, I remember sitting at the back of the bus, and I don't know if you've ever sat at the back of the bus, but that's where I was, and I wasn't completely all there. I was kind of like dazed and just thinking about life. And I was sitting there and it smelled like urine. And I looked a couple of seats in front of me, and there's this homeless dude, and he was just chilling, and he had all this raggedy old clothes, and it was like, looked like smears from poop and mud and all this other stuff. And I felt really bad. I kept looking at him like, why doesn't he feel bad? And I kept thinking, wait a minute, I'm only a couple of feet away from him. Why am I only a couple of feet away from him? I have all this ambition, and why the fuck am I on this same bus? I don't know if you've ever felt like that, where you're in that position and you have all this energy, you have all this knowledge, you have all the resources, you have the computer, you have the laptop, you have the microphones, you have your phone, it's affordable to get a tripod, you have the friends, you know the questions to kind of ask, you could Google anything you want, you could YouTube anything you want, but you're still like, fuck, why haven't I gotten to that thing? So I know for me personally, I need guidance. I really need help and I really need someone to kind of help me step one, step two, step three. And I think that's where we're heading to, into a world where people need a lot of guidance. I think I see it more and more because there's so much distraction. It's like you need a friend that literally he's your focus friend. He's your accountability partner. He's that partner that's like, hey, have you gotten up to shower yet? Something stupid. But yeah, like as you're building a business or as you're creating, you need to have people to turn to. I have people to turn to, but I also turn to brands that are so big that they can't give you that attention, like that full on one-on-one. Sometimes they can, sometimes they can't. And that's normal, but I'm going off in tangent again. I know I needed help. And I think at this time I was about 21, 22. And yeah, at that age, you're considered an adult. And the only reason I was actually on that bus was because I had a DUI. And I've never really said that and shared that in this big, like, at this level, but I want to have this as a place for me to be transparent and vulnerable. But I had a DUI, and I remember losing my job. I remember that I had college. I just got into college. I was also dating somebody at the time, and I'm this Hispanic individual that is going through stuff that's like, what the hell? And I'm bringing that up because it's a human experience that you're going to be tested. It's a human experience that that kind of is something that someone once shared with me, or I remember listening to or reading, is the bigger the goal and the endeavors you have, the more of these problems that you're going to face, because wherever you're trying to go, all these things that are occurring to you are going to shape you. Something that I just shared with someone that I'm coaching, he told me, hey, I'm trying to balance life and the two jobs and taking care of my child and my wife and all this. And I told him, hey, look, man, a diamond doesn't become a diamond unless they're put under pressure. So I feel like that is everybody. When you're going and creating certain things, you're going to be faced with certain things in order to give you this pressure, because in the end, you're going to become that diamond, So yeah, I'm just giving you a glimpse of what my world was like, and that's just a small portion that has made me who I am today. But having that experience really taught me how much time could be taken away from you. And that dramatically altered my life. It really allowed me to think and contemplate, and I had to rebuild. And at the time of this recording right now, I'm facing another part of this life experience, and I have to rebuild. My structure has changed. I've lost clients. I have a team to maintain, and I don't want to say I've lost clients. I'm going to consider it more of like what's occurring is a momentary pause, and that's fine. I'm learning actually with this new financial, I think it's called a financial downturn that's occurring, like basically a lot of shit at this very moment. The recession, inflation, I'm not good at those terms and sharing what that circumstance is, but basically in layman's terms is people holding their money. I have an expensive product and they need to pull away because maybe my product is too expensive, or I haven't just built that brand experience to the point where they need to stay. And so with the current things that are occurring in my life, I've had to slow down and restructure everything. And this is awesome because this is where I finally got to build my brand experience. I got to, though I am going through this, like I have to take care of the team and I got to find these clients and I got to do these things and I got to make sure that my deliverables are on time and I got to make sure my team's happy and the current clients are happy. I'm going to slow down and build this brand experience, build this brand, build this personal brand. And I never shared this publicly. And And I know this is actually what I needed. I know that God has helped me get here. And for so long, I've been asking, and I want to do these things. I want to coach people. I want to have this product. I want to launch this course. I want to do, have a successful agency. I want to be a great creative director. I want to do so many things that I can't do because maybe I had too much on my plate with my clients. So what happens? Boom, this economy occurs, clients leave, and it's like, okay, you either are faced with dying or you're faced with, I need to make this happen. And that's where I'm at. I probably was sad on my couch. I think for 2 days, I was just in this state of depression, this state of like, how the hell am I gonna get this? I'm 6,000, and actually more than that. I don't want to actually talk about financials, but I was in the red 100%. And I was like, okay, I got to do these actions. This is what's got to happen. My burn rate increased by this much. Burn rate is basically how much money you're putting into your business. I own a SaaS company, so it's like, it's a lot. And I'm oversharing, but this helps you. I'm hoping this helps you think of where you're at. You're like, oh my gosh, like that's what I'm going through. I'm going through all these things. Look, take a step back. Like I took a step back, reflect on what happened, take a breather. I know it's easier said than done. How I took my breather, it was chill on the couch, pig out. I still did my workouts. I kind of stayed in this funk. I went for a lot of walks and I asked myself hardcore questions. What if, how can, what should I do? Who do I turn to? What questions should I ask? And I just kept doing this. I kept practicing. I listened to certain podcasts that helped me establish what questions I should ask myself. And that's kind of like the key, right? You need to ask yourself very specific questions so that you could get very specific answers. And something that came to me was build your brand and truly launch this influential personal brand that you've been wanting to create. And I'm, for the very first time, openly admitting that I do want to become a very influential person in my creative space. It's very important to me. And I know there's so many out there, but who cares? This is my little circle. I'm going to do the best that I can and get to somewhere, even if it's like 10 people that are just like, dude, you've taken us from X, Y, and you've taken us to X and got us here. Yes. So just to recap, something that I actually did, something that I think helped me was I wrote down a list of what was happening. I have a Google document that I call get out of my mind. And I started writing these paragraphs, and then I would separate the paragraphs by creating these just one sentences of how are you feeling? And I would answer it. And then I would change it to something like that I want to get out of, like, or basically having a grateful paragraph, turning it into a grateful paragraph, writing my losses and really write deeply about my wins. On top of that, I would focus on my customer service. That's a huge thing, and I'm getting better at that. Because I'm the head of my business, I deal with the sales, the invoicing, among so many other things, the customer service. Because there's only one of me and multiple clients, I had to do the best that I can. And that's what I try. I try to ask questions. I try to return calls. I send out emails. I DM. I follow up. So that was a huge thing that I needed to do first. Then I had to make sure my team was okay. I let my team know some aspects of the situation. They don't know all of it. If you're a team member of mine barely listening to this, yes, we're going through some craziness, but I'm hoping that I know we'll get out of it. I know we'll get out of it. And then I started working on my branding, my messaging. I want to help millions of creators use a systematized, simple process so that they have a way to ideate, create, and distribute with their clients. And that's actually why I created vidproject.io. It was a huge idea. and I'm building a lot of things, the part of the structure again, in order to have this influential personality, this brand, to then say, hey, look, trust me, with this thing, I can get you from here to here. So that was a huge thing. It's like, okay, telling myself I want to help a million creators, and I went down this wormhole of like, how do I build the brand? What to do? How to try this? And this is someone that has been on my radar. I have one of his books, and his name is Brushard. A client of mine actually has been, either they've coached with them or they bought into a high masterclass program with them. But I've been following him for a long time, since he's had this manifesto. And I never bought any of his things. Something about his mannerisms, it's like, it felt kind of goofy, felt kind of off. And I'd like people like Chris Do, who's, he has this company called The Future, and there's all these other people, but for some reason I finally listened all the way through to Brandon Brushard's advertising, and I was like, you know what? Fuck it, let's try it. It was a free course, and I took that free course, and I was like, oh wow, this is awesome. And then he's like, hey, if you think this is awesome, you want to buy my bigger program. And I started paying attention to that. I was very curious. I'm like, okay, I came across his ad. I love the free resource he gave me. And I've done that not a million, but I've done that a lot of times with other people's stuff. But what was it about him that I kept following through? And it honestly was because it was so simple. It was a very simplified, the way he talked was simple. The way he presented things was simple. So I love that. That's actually what I've been searching for, and finding a simplified way and that, to do what I do or share what I do and have other people emulate it. Back to this. All to say is I learned a lot. Another huge thing that I had to do was learn a little bit about my health. I needed to make sure that I'm healthy, so I'm still working out. I see my coach 2 to 3 times a week, and I'm constantly learning on the internet, learning how to better the brand, how to make simplified processes, how to softwares, people, learning the way they speak, learning. And here's a great thing about all this. You're going to take all this information in, whoever you are, but in the end, you're the one doing the action. You're the one learning your own style. You're the one that has to pay your dues. So I'm paying my dues again. I'm 35 years old, and I'm paying my dues. I'm like, what the heck? But we have to. I'd rather start this now so that my 5 years from now is a lot easier. I want and I want you to feel the same way too. I hope that you're hearing the same, and you're going through this burning passion, this desire. You're like, dude, I need to do this. I need to make this. I need to change myself. And this is how I look at the world. A big part of my brand is cultivating curiosity. That's been a huge, huge value of mine. Or I'm not even sure if it's considered a value. It's considered a part of who I am and a part of my brand. But when you work with me, that's what we're doing. We're constantly iterating and cultivating our curiosity. Whether you're a creator, whether you're a brand that wants to get to the next level, you and I are going to sit down, and that's what we're going to discuss. Hey, what would it look like if this occurred? Let's try this. Hey, have you seen this thing? What do you think about these? Like, we're constantly going to be curious and trying new things. I know that if I didn't get challenged by losing, or I shouldn't say, didn't get challenged by having gone through this whatever that I'm experiencing, I wouldn't be what I'm doing right now. I wouldn't have put the gas on the pedal and really force my brain to think. I remember when I was younger, I got that same feeling, that thrive. I was younger when I would be in my car, when I had a car at the time, or actually when I finally afforded a car again. I think I was 26, from 21 to 26. It took me a long time to get my car. I would get in my car and I would listen to Les Brown. I would listen, is that Les Brown? Yeah, I will listen to all those motivational speakers, Jim Rohn. Dude, I would find Sylvester Stallone audios and just play them while I'm walking. And anyways, I got that same feeling again. I feel reinvigorated. Now I know how to kind of have a social media online presence. No, actually, correction. I do know how to have a social media online presence. What's the hard part is taking the actions to designing the thing, writing the script, making the video, doing all those things. And they're not hard. They're just tedious. And what you're doing as you're cultivating your curiosity is building these muscle memories, this system for yourself. And it's so cool. I think that's really cool. I wouldn't be here right now if I didn't have this life experience occur. Everybody listening, you need to have this game plan. You yourself need to dig deep, go into this solitude, and in deep solitude, you have to have this moment to yourself and ask yourself, what should I do? I have all the tools. I have everything that I need. What can I do? This episode wasn't meant to be perfect. This episode was for me to try it, to experience it, to just learn from this, because I could take all the classes, all the courses, all the things, but in the end, I need to take the action and I need to iterate as I learn, because I'm still going to learn. I'm going to put this up, listen to it, get the feedback from it, and try, finish the next chapter of the audio podcast book, or finish the next course that I'm doing with the Brendan Brushard Influential Pro program, or ask the next question to my mentor saying, hey, I've done these things. Now what do I have to do for my SaaS, vidproject.io? Like, it's a lot. It's cool. I'm young. I have the energy right now. I have the passion to change the trajectory of my family. And damn it, I hope you do too. I hope you join me on this crazy adventure and we do this together. I hope we get to explore. Once again, we're going to cultivate your curiosity, get you obsessed, get you passionate, and share other people that are like-minded to you. So thank you for listening. I really appreciate it. If you just, hit the like if you're watching this on YouTube, or send me a text message, send me a screenshot, go to my Instagram, mar.videos with 2 S's, or just go to my website, mar.video, and let's chop it up. Let's talk. Let's see where you're at. Let me see if I could help you, or just follow the journey. Yes, that's what I have to say. All right. Have a good day.